Mitch Jones, Nathan Burke, Penny Wadsley, and Warren Boyles.
Any others? Thank you. I need a motion now, please, to confirmation the minutes of the previous AGM held on the 28th of September. Two for Charles and Ray. Thank you. Any questions or comments about those very old minutes?
No, it's all right. I just need Christopher to. Got it.
I'll put the motion for confirmation. Please say aye or do I?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Those against. Thank you. Okay. Time to write any report. Firstly, I know that the Tasmanian branch of the Australian Electric Vehicle Association has now been operating for 8 years. May I say very successfully so. I acknowledge and give many thanks to a significant number of people whose commitment and enthusiasm have able to have branch such a successful organisation right from the very beginning. Now, as was noted, the previous AGM of this branch of the Australian Electric Vehicle Association was held on the 28th to the 2022 at the Hobart Showgrounds and online via Zoom. And at that stage, we elected myself as chair, Christopher as secretary, Clyde as treasurer, and the newly appointed at that time, John Ettersham, as the director for Tasmania on the National AEVA. A further 4 members were elected to the branch committee, being John Hanson, Julie Hargraves, John Gregory, and John Fast. And the committee members were agreed as vice chair, Charles Gregory, leadership set up John Fast, website content, John Hanson, Facebook, Charles Gregory, Southern Tasmanian events, John Ettersham, and the business, John Ettersham. I thank again all these persons for their contributions over the last year, and again particularly acknowledge all the work done yet again by our long-serving secretary, Christopher Walton, to ensure the successful operation of our branch. I also wish to acknowledge this time the many contributions of Ray Johnson, in particular for managing and setting up our IT technology, so that members can attend our meetings online, as well as for keeping Christopher company and sharing the driving down and up in the middle of the driveway for our meetings. I also thought that in the report for me, I think you actually managed to not have any voters. We have 131 members currently, which is an increase from 6 on the previous year. Over these 8 years, AEVA has meetings have been held in a range of venues and locations. We've been fortunate indeed with the support and help we have received in holding our meetings, starting with the State Cinema, Rose Bay High School, and then more recently the Hobart Showgrounds and the now Glenorchy Library, I thank all those who facilitated our meeting locations, including those in Launceston and Devonport. I thank also the terrific speakers we've had over the years. They covered the minutes, events. Once again, the branch has been involved in a range of events. I again acknowledge and thank the many energetic and passionate people who contributed to these events undertaken in the last 12 or so months. So we had, starting last August, the Snug Electric Car AgFest in August last year. The weather.
It was COVID.
Okay. Launceston Show, Royal Hobart Show, a Devonport branch meeting. I'm noting that because the conference went to the Vale, which I think is one of my personal highlights, owned by Simon Hackett in January this year. There was an EV's event at Willie's down at Grove. Devonport Motor Show in March, the Northwest Eco Fest at Alveston in April, the Tri-Bunnet Electric Hybrid Vehicle Show in April, and AgFest back to its normal times of 4 to 6 May, the AEVA National Conference and Expo in Canberra in August, and the last one I'm aware of is the Glebe Hill in Howrah EV Experience Day in August. Tasmanian EV charges. An objective in establishing the Tasmanian branch of AEVA in 2015 was to encourage the creation of a Tasmanian-wide network of EV charges. Clive Atwater, as the high-achieving and visionary Managing Director of Electric Highway Tasmania, prior to Unity, has kept the branch well informed about the progress with the installation of charges on the Tasmanian Government's Charge Smart program and the federal government's REMA grant, as well as with other site hosts. Supply chain issues have continued to delay the completion of the comprehensive statewide network of charges into 2024, but there's been an impressive growth in the usage of EHT's almost 30 EV charges around the state by both Tasmanians and visitors, a fine achievement. EV numbers. In the 2020 AGM report, just 3 years ago, I noted that we estimated there were about 300 EVs in Tasmania. So I am delighted to report that just 3 years later, there are now 2,618 registered electric vehicles in Tasmania, according to transport.transport.co.uk, etc. That's at 31 August, or a few more by now. This is an increase of 123% compared to 1,174 EVs 12 months ago, and approximately 770% over the last 3 years. However, I believe there's still an issue with the affordability of EVs for many would-be EV owners, and I remain personally disappointed that still things are not commercially viable to do ICE to EV conversions. It's sad soapbox. Member representations and participations at the same report for several years now. There are 2 working groups in which AEVA has continued to participate. Clive represents AEVA on the Tasmanian Government Electric Vehicle Working Group, and I'm still representing AEVA on the Tas Networks Policy Regulatory Working Group. That group has a goal to contribute in the direction of energy regulatory policy and pricing outcomes in the form of Tasmania. Believe it or not, the meetings are quite interesting. Conclusion. There is considerable ongoing interest in further information in the community about electric vehicles, and AEVA has continued its fine role in addressing this demand. I thank all the enthusiastic and dedicated AEVA members for their contributions in the process of community education. Looking back over my previous AGM reports, I estimate that AEVA has organised or participated in more than 100 events in the last 8 years. We have so much to be proud of. Some major highlights are our trend-setting, brilliantly successful and magnificently organised AEVA November 27th, the start of an Australia-wide trend. An electric car in March 2019, which was utterly amazing, the hottest day ever in Hobart. Possibly might be after this summer, as well as a yearly participation at AgFest. I also note that AEVA now has a usable and useful website page, and an always interesting Facebook page. I thank Charles Gregory for the work he does to keep up-to-date information on both those websites. I'm presuming it's all Facebook website. I would call it up-to-scenes, but not my formal report. If I were to list all the members who deserve recognition for their significant contribution, including the 2 who are online tonight, to AEVA over these 8 years, there will be dozens and dozens of names, many of whom have been here from the start, including in particular our Treasurer Clive Atwater and Secretary Christopher Walker. Thank you to you all. Finally, after 8 years, the time has come for me to say this is my final AEVA AGM report. I'm very appreciative there is someone who is prepared to take over the role of chair for AEVA. I wish the new committee at AEVA all the very best for the future and look forward to seeing how it evolves in the coming years. That concludes my report. We're going to need to hear you speak. We'd like to take it for Clive and Michael Wadsworth. Any questions or comments about my report? Very good.
Two points.
Right,
Wonderful job over 8 years. And a wonderful job with that.
Yes. Good team effort. Thank you. All right, those in favour of the seat, please indicate. Thank you. Those against, it carries. Now it's Clive's turn. Financial statements.
Aha. I don't have many words. I just have numbers. So coming on the screen shortly, our profit and loss statement. It's actually given the last 6 years, so you can see the trends for what it's worth. Again, events really the dominant both income and expenditure. And for this year, we made a slight surplus, recognizing that's mostly contributions from national office, and also recognizing that some of that there's EV tags, which we purchase and then pay for postage on, for which we get periodically reimbursed, and we're probably due for a reimbursement. So I haven't chased the latest one. So we're probably another $300 or $400 up on what's maybe even $500 up from what's shown there. We keep it lean. We don't spend on much that we don't have to. So it's really those events and our meeting rooms. And just occasionally a bit of printing and postage. In the past, we have purchased capital items, so we've got things like a marquee, some good display material and stuff, but that's got a long life. So we don't do that every year, and I don't expect to do a lot. Well, unless we have a big event, like maybe a national show next year. Any questions? Yeah.
I sent an invoice the other day for $1100.
No, well, that's after June 30th. That's not on there.
Oh, of course.
It's annual financial year.
Oh, we need to cover it then.
Well, it's in the treasurer's bi-monthly report, or what the one I bring to every meeting has got the latest transactions up till last night. But this is the AGM, so we're not putting it up unless you want to do it as an add-on. Yes, we have more money in the bank than that because the money has come in since.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Clive, for your 8th and Treasury report.
And last, resigning.
So who's going to be receiving the financial statement? John and Margaret. Last check, anything you want to say? So this carries consider the recommendation. Thank you, Carl. Now it's time to begin the election process. And we've got 4 positions to fill the first instance. And we will ask for a returning officer. We need one. And Michael Watkins already kindly agreed to be in it. Because his dear wife Penny isn't here. Her 8-year-old, of course, as returning officer. So I'm sure there'll be no objections to not being returning officer if so needed. So I'll start by calling for nominations for chairperson, or I say chair, David Branch.
Nominate for chair of the AEVA.
Very much. Do I have it? Asked and we were second announcements. John Casamati and Charles. Any other nominations? I'm going to declare returning officer. That was that will be our next year. Thank you very much. The position then is treasurer, and I believe.
So Nathan Burke has accepted a nomination. So if I nominate him, he's accepted that nomination.
So you have your second then? Oh, would you cut? Sorry, I might ask about the last second. Sorry, do you hear? I can't get you on.
Sorry, who was that?
Clive, you are Clive. Nathan, I believe, in the Northwest Coast, something about him.
So Nathan's been involved in the club for a few years now. He's reasonably active in the Northwest, generally only attends Northwest things so far. His child has a recital or something on tonight, so he's decided to take precedence over that. But he should be able to attend the occasional Hobart meeting, and otherwise treasurer is something he can do over Zoom reasonably well. We have a business called Generate, which does electrician solar installation.
Are there any other nominations for treasurer of the active branch?
Don't have an option, but
I hear no other nominations, so I'm pleased to call the Council Trade Nathan Burke, the Northwest Coast, will be our treasurer. Our next position is the position of secretary. It's nomination for secretary.
I've been trying to get somebody to nominate the secretary. Nobody's accepted that. Secretary doesn't have to be as much work as what I do. It really, the core of it is writing minutes, and the minutes don't need to be as detailed as the minutes I have been doing. I was just discussing it with John before and saying I probably won't do that anymore because we've got this Zoom recording. People can go online and read it. it takes me 8 hours to do the minutes the day up. So from now on, I think I'll probably just do summary minutes. So instead of I'll just write Charles presented the news instead of all of the minutes and all that kind of stuff. So in that case, anybody who accepts a secretary role can do the same thing. It doesn't have to be. And the core of it is minutes of the meeting, getting them out to print. I do lots of other stuff as well, and I don't intend to stop doing all of that other stuff necessarily.
We're hoping to be able to update the assistant secretary.
Yes, there's also an assistant secretary role, which could either be I assist the new secretary, or if we don't get one, have somebody else learning the role for the instead of the future. Does that sway anybody to mind?
Online people?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Does that mean you're nominating me?
Well, it's not the chair's role to do that, but I'm very pleased with that.
I'll nominate.
I'll say.
I'll have one last final plea from the other nominations. There've been no further nominations. The continuing secretary and lots of desire, I think they're very likely to be. And what that we did a year ago, we were also to actually re-nominate John to be director, because John thought with his hand up as part of the cycling process. The best way to explain it, and rotating.
The best way to explain it is that when AEVA moved to be a incorporated company, and in that process, I guess we declared in our constitution that we would rotate the board on a 3-yearly basis. We didn't really consider the first 3 years and how we were going to manage that. So as it stands at the moment, we have an obligation for at least 2 directors to resign this year and 2 directors to resign next year to fulfil that 3-year rotating basis. So on that basis, myself and the Victorian director, I think, have both resigned, if you like, and put themselves up for re-election.
And that would be for another 3-year term.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
So for director, you need to have nominated in writing 7 days ago, and John was the only one. Nomination, so yeah, we still need the. Yeah, so John will have himself.
John's nominated is still kind of process the institution way, would you like to do this every day? Okay, they call me other nominations. I'm not going to call for any other nominations.
But it's got to be done.
Oh,
That's right.
yes, thank you, John. Thank you for taking through. That's quite a good reputation doing the right organisation. Number one, something told you, person does these sorts of things, and you've done it again. So we're looking out there. So thank you for taking it on for the next 3 years. I think you wanted to do that long as well. So, director. So now let's look at the general committee. So I've already got the chair and the director, treasurer and secretary being the branch committee, and then we have an opportunity to put more people onto the committee, and we need to decide a little free for all about how many people we'd like to have and we would like to be on the general committee, and then we decide what number that is and pass the motion over there. So I'd like to be on the general committee.
Good.
Who else would like to be?
Charles is desperately keen.
Julie and Shane have said one or the other. Are you going to make up your mind?
Okay.
Yes, Jen made up my mind for me, yes.
How does he do that?
Sorry, did somebody hear that?
Julie was saying,
Yes, we made up our mind, or rather Shane did. So I'm it.
right, so we've got, John Casamati, Charles Gregory, Robbie Vigil,
Any?
yeah, and Julie. Oh, John Casamati.
And John Park.
Oh, John Fast, sorry, John, that's right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anybody else?
Does Clive want to continue on as a committee member?
How big a committee do you need?
I'll throw my head in.
You're Michael, aren't you?
Yes.
It's got to have continuity and things like that in discussions and that kind of thing.
Shakespeare program. All right, I don't object to being called upon.
So
That's the room so far, we're doing.
that's 9 in total. We had 8 last year.
Okay. It's probably big.
Had 17 or something. And they decided that was a bit unmanageable.
It's getting bigger.
Say whether it's the optimum group size.
So we got one too many. The way,
Oh, I was like counting 3.
could be in that 1.5%.
What would you say?
Clive, just checking, you say yes or no? Yes.
Yes, if required. I'm not itching, but I'm not busy enough.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Very much appreciate.
Yeah, all right, yeah. I'll say.
Period.
I don't
You
think
speak up very loudly, yes or no?
Yes.
So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need a motion that we let.
Do you want to read the names out to just
Yeah.
absolutely sure?
Yes, so we need a person to propose that we have.
We need a mover and a second proposal that we elect 7 general committee members for the coming year, and the names are Clive Atwater, Mikey Harris, Charles Gregory, John Casamati, Penny Cocker, John Cast, and Julie Hargrave.
I would like to move that motion.
Mm.
Who would like to see
I'll second.
Okay.
John Casamati? And John. All those in favour of there being 7 people on the please indicate. Thank you. So I'm against the clear carried. Right. So thank you for being confused. And that's actually like another use. And now that means I take the chair. New chair. Like that.
Oh, yeah, you do too.
Thank you, John. You better liberated there.
First thing I'd like to do, before sitting in the chair, is to appreciate Penny's contribution as chair over the last 8 years and the amazing achievements that actually summarised so effectively at AEVA under her tutelage and courage. Amazing. So I'm totally in your hands now.
So in the agenda, the AGM agenda, I put to elect some, to nominate some committee roles now.
Yep.
I realised in the agenda I didn't put them all, the ones that were circulated the other day.
Yep.
On the screen are all the ones we put as circulated. And so in here, I didn't have the assistants there, but if we wanted to do assistants there,
Mm.
This is further, I guess, to, as Penny and Christopher mentioned earlier, we really want to try and start building some succession planning into the committee roles. So that the poor committee members that are holding roles for very long periods of time actually get some opportunity for relief. but not burden people and make it overwhelming to take on those roles. So we thought we would create assistant roles for the likes of secretary and treasurer and chair, having a vice chair role opportunity and assistant secretary and assistant treasurer role. So that would sort of create the opportunity, I guess, for that succession planning, and also to maybe relieve some of the travel obligations and things, and allow the load of those roles to be spread around and reporting at formal meetings like those AGMs. So that sort of summarise the intent. That's good. Yeah, that's good. So for vice chair, we have had an incumbent who I trust has nominated to continue in that role. So do we need to call a motion for that?
We do not. Yeah, we just move on. No, people volunteer and we write them down. And then in the case of someone we forget about them for the next year.
Or you encourage them when you write them down.
So I don't need to call for any further nominations there.
Continuing Tasmanian Expo along those lines. So not doing national conference at the same time, but this Expo being a yearly thing.
This was actually discussed. I'm probably preempting my board. I should leave this out of this.
Into the next meeting.
And I might just say that I'll leave my name there. And if we have our meetings on Wednesday nights, almost guaranteed I might be able to participate in the meeting on Wednesday night. Give you a background.
Any other nominations to participate in the National Expo?
Yeah. Last time we did a bike ride over yeah, the reverse. Yeah.
I'm going to be fabulous. The scale that the people with the attention this time.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. That area, the thing.
Yeah, go from Darwin. Start there.
That's what you get sold as a keynote.
Sounds like a great opportunity. I've heard rumours that.
Yeah.
There are, right, these two motions that we will. Okay, so I'm looking to call the motion.
Yeah, so I'll explain why this is. So this is to protect the treasurer. So basically we say somebody or other proposes that the treasurer be authorised to spend amounts up to a certain amount for any one transaction. Amounts above this value will require authorisation by a majority of the branch committee. This is so that the treasurer has authorisation to spend money. And so later on, if you've got some legal situation or whatever, the treasurer can come to the AGM and go, right, I had authorisation to spend this money. And this is the thing that gives the authorisation, because it's not in the Constitution exactly how treasurers work. And the second one there is to, again, protect the treasurer against anybody spending money on AEVA's behalf. The treasurer needs to approve anybody incurring expenses and charging them to AEVA.
Yes.
And so last year we did an amount not exceeding $500. Hopefully we can get
We ask how that works.
Yeah, look, the only, the bigger ones tend to be things like AgFest and whatever, and they're always approved by the committee. So it's not been an issue.
Pretty easy to do the committee too. We just email each other and I've got a record of those emails.
Yeah. But I mean, most of our other stuff is small.
Is someone happy to propose an amount not exceeding $500?
And just to, for example, we've been granted some money from National to assist people attending the Perth conference. that's taken to the approval because it's been sent to us by National for that purpose. So I don't need to seek committee support for that, my interpretation. Even though it says the branch committee, it's actually federal's money they're giving to me to whatever. So I haven't come to the committee for permission for that reason. Haven't spent it, but
This is where Penny nominates somebody to say it, because nobody has, so you just, when it's time, so you just saying this, but. It's all right.
Can I propose you got me to second it?
Yes, that would be lovely.
And then we need to do that. Oh, actually, technically, you should ask for.
Anyone
Anybody
who would
who.
like to propose the second proposal there?
How much?
No, but we haven't put the first one.
500.
We've covered the first one,
Oh.
so we're down to the second one.
which is an amount.
Treasurer.
$10.
Are you required?
Oh,
I can move that because I'm not the treasurer anymore.
Yeah, anybody can, yeah.
I'll move that.
So try to put that one through, and then, all in favour.
All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone dissenting? Right, which pass? I'd like to officially close the AGM. 7:45. That's a record we will have tonight.
Right, the next meeting.
Yes. Welcome to the Tasmanian branch meeting for apologies from
Minji, Jones, Nathan Burke, Penny Wadsley, and Warren Boyle, same as the previous one.
we need to move for confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting.
We stopped the recording. I had a bit of a problem. It's recording, but it's recording on session that's frozen. I can't stop the recording. I don't know what's gonna happen at the end of
In business of the
it. It'll zoom some way, but it says recording on the presentation,
No business arising in no.
which I started to hear. But
We might be
out to wait.
Oh, again, all right.
Yeah. I don't know what editing software.
It's not that much, couple of room hires, we've got our payment for the RAST show, which is the Hobart show, has gone out. Payment for license tag postage, so $700 from the national, dumped in 2,000. So our current balance is 2,800, which is not enough. But we haven't been compensated for tags for a while, so I've got a bit of a claim on national for that, so I'll get a bit of money out of it. Or I'll instruct the new treasurer to do it, which I guess I have to do. Yeah, that's it, not much activity really. We're not in a robust situation going into the Hobart show. We need to manage our spending and perhaps get some prepayment from some of our participants. If there's any around that would do that.
Do we need to consider changing our rates or reviewing the rates that we're changing for construction?
Is there a budget can show this one? Well, I've seen one more.
No.
Okay, so what are you talking about, sorry?
Hobart show.
Or which is more generally, I suppose. And
Yeah.
we want to try and.
No, well, that's one of the reasons why I'm resigning, because I've been a bit slack about these things and I need to find somebody who's got more focus than I have lately.
Everything's going up with inflation, I guess. It's only expected that we should adjust rates to reflect what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And they can be different for different shows too. So AEVA has a very different fee structure. The Bond Session show, we get the site for free, and Hobart will pay us. So,
And I think the value proposition is starting to change for dealers. too.
Oh, very much.
I certainly found, the last event at Glebe Hill was the first time ever I'd have had dealers approaching me and volunteering vehicles, etc. Actively trying to participate. Rather than me doing all the pull, I was getting pulled from the dealers. And so there's maybe an opportunity there for us, I guess, to increase rates and get to
Like the new treasurer should talk to the new export.
review.
Okay, so treasurer's report moved by. Melanie moves.
Moved by Clive and seconded by Margaret. I'm not going to get it. We have time. Yes.
Slides, Charles.
Ooh.
What time is that? 4:46. Wondering if my extra slide I added later will be in there, but we'll find out when we get there. That's fine.
This is the email that I saw.
That's
I didn't see two.
that's okay. The second one I updated the version online, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. It's when I downloaded this, yes, which was a little while ago.
So we'll see. First couple of slides are some major articles which are in the local media. This one was page 4 of the Mercury. It was in response to a survey on future EV buying habits, and yeah, the summary points are there. 53% of Tasmanians likely to buy an EV for their next car purchase. So yeah, we see the actual cars are there for me, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, there's a lot of. Okay, and this one was the following day, where the headline there says, surveys want to power up EVs, and it appears to mostly be a it's mostly that the industry group representing the service stations who are saying that you should come to us and we should be doing it because it's easier than setting up brand new charging sites.
yeah.
And I think the little highlight part there says it just makes sense to use established service stations as the basis of new EV infrastructure. And they're a bit slow considering there's 30 or 40 sites in Tasmania.
43 operating.
43 in Tasmania, and I think there might be 2 or 3 different surveys. So they're a bit late, and that that's just my opinion, of course. And that map there on the right shows what BP has done in 10 months with no government support. So they've got stations all the way up in Melbourne and just north of Brisbane.
And I'll roll them out as well.
And Hobart as well. They did get government support for some of theirs, but BP Pulse is the only major network in the country who hasn't received any government support. I can think of ChargeFox and EV and Pole have all had funding at various points for various sites. HT has, of course. NRMA, yeah.
But they did a lot more without grants as well. So
They do. Yeah, that's true. They've got grants for the future big national one, and the government's particularly that. So this is an example of a proposal that was shared in the last month or so. It's only at planning stage, so it's nothing concrete or final or anything like that. But it's a plan for a huge new highway service centre with 28 EV chargers on the Hume Highway. You can see in the lower picture, in the top picture, I think the petrol barrels is on the left and the centre, and the EV part on the right.
Is still wrong this time.
Sorry? Yeah, that's right. We'll get there eventually. But on the bottom image there, it's a bit hard to see, but those charging spaces are sort of 2 of them front to back. So they're suitable for towing, things like that. Charging on the side of the car, you just drive up whichever one sort of suits your car, same as a petrol browser. And I don't think it said who was playing this. If you zoom in on the images, the colours do look kind of BP-like, but that's a bit of speculation at this point. Yeah, that's really it's an perfect spot for Melbourne and Sydney.
There's no fuel balance, because I think it's just great in the future plan, but we fuel balance.
I guess they're budgeting on the fact that even if it was 100% EV uptake from tomorrow, it would still take 10 to 20 years to cycle through all the old reports. I guess that keep it moving to make a little bit longer.
No solar panels on the roof.
Well, that's one.
I can't remember if that was mentioned, but there's a lot of roof space there. Maybe
I noticed that the lead, it's, you know, with the lead, the bit was this huge roof space there, they didn't put any panels there.
Now, this diagram is kind of a bit of a summary of a few trips that I made in the last month and my observations. Basically, I basically did these are three separate trips, and on each time I stopped at Campbelltown just to see what it was like. And you can see the first two times there was at least 5 cars there within the 15-minute period that I was there. The third one, there's only 3 cars showing there, but I saw one leaving Campbelltown as I drove in. I drove past another one coming into the car park as I drove out, and another one coming into Campbelltown as I drove out. So there was at least 6 cars there every time. So that just shows what the demand's like. All the times that I used the Campbelltown sites, the chargers were working, so that's good. That was an issue early this year quite often. And on 2 of those times, I also popped into Oakland, and both times there were 2 cars there.
So those are weekends, aren't they?
They were all weekends, yeah, which probably aligns with your data.
And Campbelltown today, there was one on the way north yesterday, and one on the way south today, but nothing coming from town and things like that. So
Yeah.
And Oatlands had one on the one occasion and not on the other.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, you might be able to answer that, but restaurants often have a time of use curve, so you can see what are heaviest. Yeah, would that be possible for us?
It would be possible for us, yes.
Don't know if it would help, it might spread if people knew is the times of Campbelltown.
Yeah, good point. I'm not sure that it does. It's not a discretionary thing. It's kind of you're there when you're there. You might decide if you really need to charge, you get a short range vehicle, I might choose a less busy time. I'd much rather have enough capacity that
would help.
it doesn't do very often. I mean, our usage at Oatlands isn't enough to justify expanding the third bay yet.
Not really.
I mean, it gets busy occasionally, but not often enough to justify it. Whereas some of the sites are busy enough and we are expanding. So our plan is to try and track usage, and when they get busy enough, to make sure that we're regular.
The big advantage though is if you add AC, the ones that on electric power that I've used, a lot of people that have used DC, and you know, we both.
Yeah, and we track the use of the AC as an indicator because we see that happens more when it's busy.
Yeah.
So a few people choose AC as even when there's both available. They'll choose the AC because it suits their long visit or their car. If they've got a test, they could do a 3-phase. But mostly we see an increase in AC use when there's effectively tuning.
Yeah.
And so it's a good indicator.
It's probably worth noting the first Oakland's picture there, the middle car there is a Leaf, which means all 3 cars were able to charge at once. Yeah. Two CCS and two Chataway.
We have a few of those.
Yeah. The lower picture there were three CCS cars there. So no such luck, but that was just me in the middle because the 2 cars either side were charging. I'm guessing the car on the left isn't in a marked bay. Presumably they were waiting for someone to leave from the middle bay. So the reaches all the locations, so that's all right.
Notice how there's forwards parking only.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Just you should always park where the council wants you to park. I'll leave it at that. As far as the other cars in those pictures go, it's a bit hard to see, but there's a big range there. There's a couple of BYDs. There is a couple of Leafs. There is a Mercedes, I think, in the bottom right picture there. And I think there's a Kia EV6 in the, can't tell which one it is now. It was blue, like most of the shots. But anyway,
I think the thing with Oatlands as well, and to throw in, there's a lot of people that don't know about it. they know about Campbelltown because being there for so long. And so I tell people, oh, there's Surs and Oatlands. He says, yeah, absolutely. I use them like they're fantastic. And like when I rented a BYD on the weekend just to try it out as a possible future EV. And the guy was he like maybe just because I was an EV guy, but I hate to think of it as just a non-EV person rented a BYD for the weekend or for the week. Got no information about where the charges were, how to charge. There's an RFID on the thing, but there's no instructions at all.
I rented one in Germany and I got quite good instructions, except they were wrong. I think I'd rather have none.
This is a comment that I thought was worth sharing, so share good news. This was by an owner on Facebook. Basically they had an unscheduled trip to Lake Sinclair with 39% state of charge on their car, and they were able to make it fine thanks to the charges of Booze and Derwent Bridge. I just thought that kind of thing, you wouldn't think of that happening a few years ago. You just have to plan, if I was going to drop the balls in my league, charge 100% the night before, and both the AC charge was free when I got there. So it's a bit different. It's a bit different these days with all charges. So that was worth sharing. This one is a bit of a lesson in how to interpret things the media say. Those top two headlines were from, I think one was the press release, one was from a news story. Then you look at the number of charges and the amount of money, and you think, are they installing AC charges, or are they just putting token amounts to install fast charges? And it sounds like they're just building a public charge network, but it was actually a lot more nuanced than that. So it was charging for specific projects which had very specific purposes. And all of them sound very interesting. They're all kind of different things that are sort of new to the EV charging game. I mean, everyone's putting fast chargers everywhere. Everyone's installing AC chargers. But these specific things were worth, I don't know, it was worth delving into the media release to see what it was, rather than just think, oh, bunch more chargers, where are they, kind of thing. I think the interesting one there is the first one, the transportable unit, which is like sounds like a shipping container style setup. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's
they had the bits of it at fully charged, but they're going to have the final one. In all energy.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's something similar seen in Norway. I think John's familiar with the one that found.
There's companies who make them.
Cool.
Very profitable.
Yeah. So the idea is that just plug into a basic connection, and then the battery and the solar tops it up, and then it can charge quickly using the stored energy.
NRMA are doing a few of those, and so they have access to some other power.
Yeah. And this is just a reminder, same slide as last time, but I think they have now discontinued the old app. So there is a new EV app if anyone hasn't.
Does the old RFID card work on them?
I haven't used the RFID card. I use the app every time.
I've only ever used the RFID card for
it. Again?
The RFID card, right, it's the only one I've ever used, the EV social.
Yeah.
And one of the chatter masters that was a couple months ago.
I've used the EV charging RFID, and there's been no problems at all, Clive.
Okay. Without updating the app, or?
Yeah.
I haven't updated the app yet.
Oh, okay.
I think it
should.
The account came across.
The count, it's all to the count, so yeah.
All right, we'll see what happens.
Back in.
Yeah.
Now, this was half of a slide from last time and half of an update. Evie was looking at installing DC chargers at the site where we had the event that John organised. And someone put on plug share, I think it was just yesterday, that they've taken the old ones out. So it looks like they're actually going ahead with that.
Right.
I would assume they're going to be EV chargers because that's what the render is. But
I think I can confirm they are going to be EV chargers.
I knew that was an intended site for them. I just wasn't sure what's going on.
So they had previously had smaller
Smaller chargers,
Like
they
pedestal
managed by charge blocks.
Yeah, they weren't even.
I believe they got much better commercial arrangements.
Mm.
The other one from BYO, are these going to be BYO as well, the new ones, or?
No, that's the latest.
Tethered, okay.
All the DC fast chargers are tethered.
Yeah,
Big shed,
I mean, just like the ones at Kingston Woolworths,
okay.
yeah.
it's the same grant, I think, so I guess the same setup.
They have 3 more sites that they're committed to doing in Greater Hobart, but I don't know specifically what they're doing. Well, I know what the rumors are, but I don't know.
Chair.
Yeah, and we're moving on to the newly installed fast chargers, so there's a couple that, I'm very, very relieved to have it going.
Oh, yeah. They're not newly installed, they're newly commissioned.
They're newly
They're from us. Kingston's curtailed a bit on power at the moment. There was some issues. We're gonna do some upgrades to that and get more oomph when they're upgraded, but that'll be another couple of months yet.
Next slide, I think, was the same as last month as well, that they're the 2 in progress ones.
Yeah, Smithton, we're hoping, well, it's scheduled for the 12th of October. No promises, folks, but that's what it's scheduled for. Tella, the charger is being delivered tomorrow to site. But there's an issue with the power supply to the site. So even if the charger is installed, that doesn't necessarily mean power available. Still waiting for Taz Networks to set a date for that one.
Yes. There is also another one that I found. I was looking on Google Street View yesterday, and they'd refreshed most of the state in the last few months. So almost all the installed fast chargers you can see on Google Street View now. I also looked around some of the speculated ones from a while ago. There was a site in Burnie which was formerly a United service station. It's been rebuilt as a Benefit Petroleum service station.
Yeah.
Yep. Nothing about a charger there on the images, but it was one where they had it on the plans that they would probably have one. So that's it's in progress. I don't know what's happening with it.
They have said that would be the next site, but I haven't heard anything about it.
A question here from Julie for Clive. Any progress on when the Sheffield charger will be fixed?
It was shipped
Scheduled for Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, thank you, Christopher.
There you go.
And Tesla has still nothing on the radar, even though it had those sites located.
Actually, there were a couple of Tesla related things I was mentioning. That was my missing slide actually before I go on. First was that they've opened up about half the superchargers in the country to all EVs.
Yeah.
So it's mostly the ones not on the Union Pacific Highway. A lot of the regional areas are in Victoria and New South Wales,
All their quiet sites.
all the client sites pretty much, yeah.
Probably said.
Where they've got capacity. And Devonport isn't one of them, unfortunately. Devonport must be a busy site for them.
The heritage site, isn't it?
And you just mentioned any more. No, you went down.
Yeah. So there were rumours of 2, and then became 1 in Hobart.
Yeah, I was talking to the Tesla store manager in Doan Park, and he's made a couple of comments on Facebook, and he said we hope to have something to announce soon. So I don't think it's far away. That'll probably be either new channel Sandy Bay, which was really 2 leaks dresses from last year. And the
No, they've got great sea ones there. I suppose about it. It should be interesting.
and the other thing that was kind of a national and possibly local interest for the superchargers was that every quarter Tesla has a sort of supercharger voting thing where you get to people get to say where they they put up a list of about it's a they do it globally, but in Australia they've got about 20 sites on the list, and people get to go on and vote for the 5 that they want.
This is new sites.
Is a new site, yeah. One of those sites is Campbelltown. So I've been encouraging people to obviously vote for that, and I've included that in a little group of 5 sites nationally where I've been spruiking them to all the Tesla groups nationally.
Encouraging and putting it mildly and hammering everyone with it. It's a really good plan.
I did it 4 days ago, and Campbelltown moved from 20th position to 14th.
You're going to get up to 7, don't you?
But you get to the top 5.
So do we know what the gap is between
Yeah, I should have put the numbers up, but I think
10 votes for 2,000, you know.
I think we went from, I think the number one site has just over 1,000 votes.
Okay.
The number 5 site has about 550. I think we might be at 400 or 4.
To vote, you need to have a Tesla account, and anyway, you can now have a Tesla account. You don't have to have a Tesla.
Yes. Because anyone, because they both have someone charges to all EVs, anyone can apply for an account now. So even if you don't, even if you have a Chatamo card, it's still worth it because it'll get the Teslas off the public chargers and onto the supercharger.
I assume too, you can open up multiple Tesla accounts if you want to.
Yeah.
One for every car.
I wouldn't want to,
Don't admit that.
I wouldn't want to go against the terms of use of the thing, but yeah, you could.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a few different things we can do to hopefully get the numbers up. And the good news is that previously there were only 3 Australian sites in the top 5. Now there's 4, so that's 4 that will be off the list next quarter. So we can have another go next quarter.
So not everything that gets off the list then gets built, does it?
It gets added to the list to be built, and they sort of committed to it then. Yeah, sometime. Yeah, so that was the slide that I made. So this is just the general forward-looking plan. I don't know if people are familiar with all the ones on there. Deloraine and Ross were from NRMA's national plan, so that might be a couple of years out. Hamilton and Boswell were from Electrona's plan. That's the company that built the Bicheno site. And all the rest, I think Clive probably knows more than anyone else what's happening with any of those.
Yeah, look, the chargers are arriving in October for Cradle, Mine, and Exeter. You've got a dotted circle on the north you can take off and make it solid now. The Exeter one, there's some chance that could make it by the end of the year, but they're having issues with planning and state growth at the moment about circulation and access. Smithton, I mentioned, is opening shortly. Cradle, with NRMA, because of their national rollout, have ummed and ahed and gone back and forth, so we're still haggling about site agreements and details on that.
Is that because it's an NRMA?
It's an NRMA location that's hosting it. Yeah. Sorrel was still haggling with the shopping centre. Eastlands was waiting till Northgate was commissioned as a proof of principle. Everybody's happy with everything, and then we'll start rolling out Eastlands hopefully early next year. I can't say because we're still haggling and won't help.
Only 2 shots.
Well, whatever, somewhere there. But there's also probably another 6 sites that we're looking at, talking to, thinking about. They won't happen in a hurry, but it's not like we're just stopping after the 28. So when we've got all the sites that have been identified up, that's 28, which is a little bit less than 30, and we've got 21 operating at the moment. But we're doing them pretty close to 1 a month over the year, and that'll continue for the next 6 months at least. It'd be nice to get them done faster, but it's amazing how many things go wrong. It's like, Kingston was installed in March, but it took until last month or this month to get it running last month. Same thing, Glenorchy was in June, late May, but it just had problems. So we keep pushing.
It is upgrades too.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, there's 3 upgrades. So Swansea, Devonport, and Burnie will all be expanded. Swansea, not much. So double it up to 250s just because there's only 2 spaces there.
Okay.
And then
keep the AC though.
Pardon?
They'll still have the AC.
We'll keep the AC, but you can only use 2 at any one time just because of the physical parking.
Yeah, right.
But Burnie and Devonport will go to 3 bays.
Any of your future ones on the non-system route?
Well, we're cooperating with NRMA on Ross and Deloraine, but we're going to kind of co-brand and whatever there. We are looking at other possible sites on the Midlands Highway come up to Burnie as well. Nothing at this point.
It's probably worth mentioning with the NRMA things, they opened the first of their new national network sites in Mudgee in New South Wales, and that was 2 AEVA units, each of them 150 or 180, 150, and 2 connectors on each. So 4 cars at 75, or fast through there's fewer cars in use. So I'm guessing that's kind of the spec they're
That's
going
their standard spec, yeah, for the
Good.
national wallet.
Yeah.
And that's what they'd be looking at Ross and Delaware.
Yeah. Cool. That's it, I think, for me.
And his stats on the Denali one, that's what yours.
Yeah, well, Denali's moderate. It's not a heavy use site, which is why we put what we put there in a sense.
Yeah.
Because we didn't expect it to be a heavy use site, but it's certainly yeah, along with the other regional stuff that I call that.
Kicking off.
Beg your pardon?
This summer you're seeing kicking off.
Oh, look, yeah, is it my turn?
Next door to the restaurant, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
The news and the trailers kind of blend into each other.
Yeah, all right,
You,
so-
you can take on.
I'll
take on that
continue
now.
then. I guess the most notable thing, yeah, we about 1 a month, we're continuing that, continuing expansions, continuing looking at new sites. I don't see EHT going much beyond about 40 sites, just by the way. I think at that point, we'd rather thicken up the sites we have than put more sites in the ground, just because the spacing will be about right. It's just a case of capacity.
Or we've got the stability infrastructure.
Oh, sorry. All right, hi guys. The thing that has, I would say, caught us a little by surprise is the rate of growth. We budgeted for roughly doubling every year. I'm not sure if I want to announce the actual number, but it's a lot more than double. And sites that we bought chargers for, we ordered them in December. They're arriving in October sometime. Those sites, we'd love to have had them expanded by now, but because the capacity, the growth is, demand has been so strong, but it hasn't arrived yet. And there's some, yeah, so it's now a matter of keeping up. And I'm not sure. The reason for the growth is unclear. The rate of growth of use on our network is way in excess of the rate of growth of EVs. And it's not interstate, because interstate's actually a smaller proportion of our total.
Credit cards though.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's 3 or 4 potential reasons why.
They're not going to charge a lot.
One is rental cars. They do more kilometers per vehicle on
Yeah.
average, and they don't charge at home
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah.
They do. They're often charged at base because the rental car companies don't require you to charge it when you bring it back. They do them top up when you bring it back. So a fair bit of it is done at base, but still, they don't tend to charge overnight because not many hotels are offering it.
Yeah.
If hotels are offering it, that'd be different. So that's one big area. Second big area is quite a lot of manufacturers are now offering free charge deals for so many months, years, kilometers, dollars. They're all differently structured. And we know from talking to people about our chargers, oh yeah, you know, you live near here, do you charge at home? No, I never do because it's free. And I walk the dog on Saturday afternoon and come and charge or whatever, you know, better routine. So there's that group. So they don't care about, they'll sit there all day and charge 100% because they're not paying. And even with a time charge, it doesn't deter that, right? Same thing with some of the car rental companies. The car rental company pays the charging rate, not the consumer. And so again, they tend to hang in and don't worry too much. And the rental car customers aren't necessarily EV people that know about charger area. So there's 2 reasons why we see long dwell times that pricing isn't going to fix. All right. The next thing we're finding is there's more people with apartments or that cannot charge at home. Or cannot charge at home easily. Who are now buying EVs because the chargers are there.
Right.
So it's a different group where we're getting essentially 100% of their charging. Where we're normally budgeting for like 5 or 10%.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so those 3 things probably account for the majority. And then the other one is we're just anecdotally picking up that even people who can charge at home and did charge at home are a lot more casual about it. And it's like, oh, I didn't charge last night. I want to make a trip. That's okay. Let's charge it down the road. So their share of public charging is higher than it has been because of the confidence they have in being able to charge. So all those 4 factors are contributing. We don't know how much, but the growth in use is way above the number of EVs, like several times as much. So we're having a hard time predicting the future. We're working hard to keep up with the future or keep ahead of it, but it's not. It's a surprise.
TV's doubled in 1 year. That's 5,000.
Yeah,
Two and a half
yeah.
hours.
Yeah, but the rate of use per. So
No,
we
I get-
actually-
I get you.
We actually track the number of kilowatt
Yeah.
hours per registered EV that we
Yeah.
have in our network each month.
Yeah,
That has quadrupled.
yeah.
So Clive,
Okay, yeah.
do you think Tasmania will ever see one of those big charger sites with like 10 bays or 28 bays like the other?
I don't
Mainland?
think so, no. I think our own view of the world, my own view of the world, and I think supported by my colleagues by and large, speak up if you disagree, because you're half here. But my own view of the world is that when you've got 8 bays at a site, most of the benefits of queuing, of high utilization of the chargers, of having confidence that someone's going to leave within a couple of minutes,
Mhm.
are achieved. And having more bays, you actually start to have the problem with big car parks. Eastland's car park is full when 70% of the bays are occupied, because it takes that long to drive around and find the empty ones, or to wait for the one that's coming out, and there's 3 bays down there, but the cars behind you can't get in because they're shuffling around, right? So full on a really big car park doesn't give you a benefit. So you're better off to have lots of sites with 8 bays than 2 or 3 sites with 16 or 24 or something, right? Now, the exception to that is the big highway sites,
Yeah.
where you've got a motorway with hundreds of cars going by per minute, and there just isn't a lot of places around. And
That's one thing in the Midlands.
and,
Sort of
and,
thing.
well, but yeah, all right. So you're going to end up, Ampol's going to go in there. They've got to go in there, right? EV's going to be in there. Tesla's probably going to be in there.
Yeah.
You're going to have 3 sites with 8 bays each, my guess. All right, in the medium to long run.
Yeah.
NRMA will be at Ross, will be at Oatlands already. That can't get much bigger because of the site. So what you're going to find is there's going to be more alternatives, but any one of them is probably going to be around the 8. I mean, Tesla might go bigger because they do that, and they've got a lot of customers, right? And they want the brand visibility, but that's a different motive. So I think we'll tend to see 8 bay sites, even in places like Norway. You are seeing some bigger sites, but you're seeing an awful lot more 8 bay sites.
Okay.
Because it's a good number in terms of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And the economies of scale, you don't get economies of scale on power supply much after a point. It actually gets expensive to put big new transformers and lines and stuff in. So unless you've got some really good utilization factors, and that comes to the daytime curve and stuff, and that depends on the site.
I guess when we think of in future in Campbelltown, there's 4 companies and they've got 8 bays each, for example. It also protects against a localized power outage at one site.
Failures or massive.
If the charge box has an app issue and you can't use the charge box site, there might be an EV one,
Yeah,
whatever.
and that's
Things
the
like
pattern
that.
you see in Norway. You might see 20 or 30 chargers, but there's 3 different operators. Okay, and adjacent car parks.
Yeah.
All right. And so I think I think for the point that Carl's made, that's a better model for the user.
Are you thinking of doing pull-through bays for people who need to want to be towing in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. But God, they're expensive.
Okay.
You know, it's the cost of land becomes, we pay rent. We have to pay rent. And it's more land. It costs a lot. So that will happen. And it will happen on certain routes more than others. It won't happen so much in city center sites. It'll happen more on highway sites. Or on the way to the Central Highlands. I mean, mine will be planned for pull through.
Okay.
There's all the boats up there. If you don't do it there, you're nuts. You know?
I think,
and they've got the site to do it.
Yes.
And I think one of the Bothwell sites that was being looked at was specifically because there's a lot of space for a pull-through site.
Yeah. And I think there's some rural sites, and I think we'll also find coming soon heavy vehicles. And when heavy vehicle sites come in, they'll all be pull-through sites by definition, and they will serve a lot of that boat and trailer traffic and caravans. Heavy vehicles is an interesting thing that came out. I don't know how much time have I got.
We're just discussing that we're starting to push the time.
Yeah. All right. I'll shut up.
Thanks. All right. So we'll move on to Tasmanian conversions.
Yes, I do. Notes. So the note that I have is Jay McRashan has a conversion to do in Newtown. He has a Nissan Micra. He has a kit. He's got, by the sound of it, everything ready to go into it, and has been asking for help. He was originally going to do a working bee last weekend, and I saw a note that he's put that off. So if anybody's interested in that and you're not on the conversions list, let me know and I'll put you on the list. So there's an email list and he's asked anybody if they'd like to come along and help. Any other conversions information?
So next is my update from National. So I can't actually report on the board meeting from last night yet officially because we haven't issued our public summary. But I'll go through the summary in the meeting before and I'll give you just some informal information about the meeting last night. So at the August meeting, the key conversation, I suppose, was probably around the upcoming workshop with the Norwegian EV Association. That's, I think, just a huge opportunity for us as an organisation. For those that aren't aware, the Norwegian Association has about 120,000 members, has 55 full-time staff as part of the organisation, and they really are the driving force that has enabled Norway to become the world leader in EV adoption. They've been pushing public and government policy in the country since their inception. I'm not sure how old they are, but I think probably similar gestation to ourselves. But the most exciting bit is, I suppose, that they've got funding and energy and excitement to actually export their model to the world. And they've chosen the Australian AEVA Association as being the model for that, to work with us to sort of refine their playbook, so to speak, and then to take that playbook internationally to other EV organisations to support them to grow, to be able to influence policy at a higher level and drive the agenda of more rapid adoption of electric vehicles. So, huge opportunity, and there'll be a big workshop going on in Perth in alignment with the Perth conference. I believe we'll have good representation there. I'll be attending, Charles will be attending, and Clive will be attending.
It's a question, John.
Yeah.
I asked the question, I think it has to you, Christopher, about it, if it was possible to do it virtually. So I've actually registered. Whether they'll have Zoom or not, I'm not sure, but
Yes.
I just thought, well.
So I put that question to Chris Jones. Chris Jones said possibly they'll figure it out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even if you can't fly to Perth, you can still attend.
Push that opportunity.
Yeah, cool.
If anyone is interested, I have got some links to a draft of the Norwegian playbook, and I am happy to share that with anyone that's got a passion to contribute. And yeah, I'll certainly share it with the other participants and yourself, John.
Cool.
But yeah, I think that's going to be a massive opportunity. The finance report was nothing of any consequence. We hold the bank balance nationally of about $90,000, 21,000 term deposit. So we're still quite liquid, I guess, as an organisation. Yeah, on average, I think our expenditure annually is around about the 200, a bit over between 200 and 300,000. The large majority of that, as you can imagine, goes on events. 200,000 or so. It goes on event budgets, and we recoup the large majority of that. Up until this year, the trend has been, we're always sort of breaking even, I suppose, in that event spend versus event income. This year, it was a little bit tenuous. We dropped probably about 30,000 of income, but most of that is timing. We've still got income trailing in from the Perth event, which should see us at least break even and potentially make a reasonable profit out of the Perth events. A lot of discussions about preparations for the National Expo and the Perth events. Some positive changes to the Constitution. We'll be having the National AGM at the Perth conference, I believe. So the notice for that has to go out before the 14th of October. So keep an eye on your inboxes, I suppose, for that. There will be some proposed minor changes to the Constitution. None of them, I don't think, are particularly consequential. One of them is around deleting the words "to be a charity" within the constitution, just to give us a little bit more flexibility now that we are a proprietary limited organisation. Some changes to that wording we discussed earlier around the 2 to 3 year tenure of directors, just to clarify the next year, so it's not quite so complicated. And some changes around the actually formally declaring the position of treasurer at a national level. That's not actually embedded within the constitution at the moment. So a little bit of oversight, I think, we'll need to go. And some changes to just to describe how casual vacancies on branch committees should be filled, which is again just clarifying it's clarifying the law and just embedding it in the constitution. It's controversial. The draft privacy policy presented that has generated quite a bit of discussion and, dare I say, the first contention that I've seen on our board. I think the thrust of that discussion was well intentioned, and I would support it. Was that the privacy policy as it's proposed today, we couldn't actually put a hand on heart to, and say we adhere to it. So we were, the feeling of a couple of the board members, and myself included, was that that policy as it stands, we would be telling lies to our members. So we need to either correct those things and make it so we can adhere to them, or the policy needs to be clearer and explain why it is that we're keeping certain information or why we collect certain information and can't guarantee that it will be deleted and destroyed. If it's got any questions about that, happy to take that offline and discuss it. The other business, we noted that the Glenorchy Trophy will be awarded for travel to the Perth conference. So the Secretary and Directors were asked to publicise this, so I'm publicising the opportunity to drive from a detour via where would you have to go to win?
It's calculated based on your battery. So if you go in a very small size battery car, right? So you've got one of the original Nissan Leafs and it's old. So there's a battery size, there's an age component and a distance. Go in an old car with a small battery in a long distance, you're going to win.
But bicycles are still considered hybrids, right?
Bicycles fine as long as you don't pedal.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So yeah, just moving on to some brief discussion of stuff at the last board meeting. A continuing discussion about relevance and value proposition and evolving our value proposition for our members, etc., and what the future of AEVA looks like. We've got in our membership database, I guess we've got a bit over 2,400 people, but only 1,000 of those are active financial members. So we've got 1,400 people out there, I guess, that were, or at some stage, EV enthusiasts and so excited about the value proposition of AEVA that are no longer participating with us. So yeah, we've taken some action to do further discussion around membership retention ideas and reactivation of those inactive membership based. The WeVault proposal that I spoke to, I think, at our last meeting, which surrounds an opportunity for AEVA to collaborate and develop a single charging app that aggregates that charging opportunity, is sort of on hold, and the ball is in their court at the moment. They're sort of re-evaluating their approach to that. Personally, I think it's a key value proposition. I think it's something, from what the discussions I've had with the Norwegians today, it was one of the real differentiators for them and one of the things that they felt had enabled membership retention. So I personally think it's something that as an organisation we should be pursuing with vigor. And we particularly watching the market at the moment and seeing things like NRMA now moving towards a model where potentially after a year you're going to be paying a $60 or so membership fee for a membership of a single charging platform, I suppose. It becomes a pretty contentious thing. I think that as an organisation, we want to influence policy, and I think we potentially want to influence the user experience and not have a for-profit organisation fulfilling that consolidation role. So, interested in others' opinions on that, because I am, I guess, representing Tasmania here. So, as a board member, that's the position I'm representing at the moment. So, if other people hold other positions, please communicate that to me so that I can also represent your position and your opinion at a national level. Perth Expo on track to break even. One of the key messages coming out of that at the moment is lots of late exhibitors are creating lots of problems. But obviously an opportunity too, isn't it? They're wanting to spend their money and participate.
Sign up the next year.
But Perth have been looking to be a big one and a real success, I think. One call out from that was that our national chair is looking to interview anyone who was sort of involved in the EV revolution back in 1973. Because the organisation is celebrating, I think, its 50-year anniversary at the 2023 conference. And we are hoping to put together a number of video snippets celebrating the members and contributors, I suppose, to the electric revolution from back in 1973. What date is your card?
Where's Greg Reader these days? No, once 2012, just after Warren Boyle's.
I was going to say, if we were really very old, they started very young.
What's the extent like that?
Right.
We had those guys that came up with the best for Richmond. Probably still one, Collins, on the big TV.
It well charged back then.
Perth agenda is firmed up, and I haven't got it in front of me, but it's on the website. Encourage you to go have a look. Sorry, can you have to say something? Privacy policy was on the agenda again. That'll be going back to branches, I think, for us to comment on our current practices, I guess, and our potential ability to comply with the proposed policy. That's about it. Notice of the AGM should be, as I said, hitting your inboxes before the 14th. The intent was to get it out by the 10th. Any questions? Discussion. There we go. Report on events. The Melbourne Electric Vehicle Show. Who's leading the charge? Mickey, is it Kennedy?
Anybody here go?
Yes, I went.
Yeah.
What can you say?
I found it underwhelming, as I put on the Facebook thing. There weren't many vehicles there at all, large proportions at all. Hyundai was there, Audi was there. I saw a BYD. I saw a Cooper Born that was there. Ankle Tide was there, which was really good. And I saw a thing that Tesla Tom did on Lucas feed. And he got me to do a commentary on the new Kona, which will appear when he comes back from New York.
You're famous.
He's
already posted it. This guy's already got a Hollywood star of fame, man.
There was a company there doing conversions, and they started at $50,000 for a Land Rover, up to $160,000 for a Range Rover. A lot of e-bikes were there as well. And they had a course you go and try them out internally. A lot of ancillary charging units, ceramics and protection for your car, that sort of thing. A lot of speakers on the Friday, Saturday and Sunday, well, on the Friday. And I'd been to the whole show by 12 o'clock. I was there at 9 o'clock. I kind of hung around the Hyundai area. They had the good coffee. It was brilliant. I got to meet one of the salesmen from Hyundai.
Doncaster.
Doncaster, thank you, yes. Terry. He's been selling Hyundai for 30 years. So he'll be getting my sale when they come out in November, the new Kona. So they had the Ioniq 5N there as well, with their very cozy seats. Very flaky looking car, but yeah. The Ioniq 6 was there as well. Who else was there? Oh, I got this up there.
Do you think things like fully charged are taking away and becoming mega shows in a sense and dragging away from
possibly, because they had an event in Melbourne earlier this year. So
All of the attendance, like,
it was quiet when I got there. When I was leaving, the people were streaming in. So it was school holidays as well, and you had the game on the Friday night, plus the Melbourne show was on as well. But no, I think it was very popular. And I got a discounted ticket through Charge Fox. Thank you very much, Charge Fox. $28 as a sponsor's ticket rather than $32. And a 2-day ticket was just double the price. There's no discount for buying 2 days worth. But no, it was good, underwhelming, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. I recommend it if somebody has a chance next time you go to it. Yeah. And as you see by the diagram there, it was in one room. It was the very end of Jeff's shed. You had to walk a kilometre before you actually got to the showroom, basically.
Thank you. Let's give Clive your trip. In the interest of time, we might skip the trip for now, and we can pull it in at the end if we've still got time. Probably don't have time. So planning for upcoming events.
Launceston show. So we aren't charged for our display at Launceston show. It's at the AEVA grounds at Quercus at Carrick. And what we did last year, and I assume it's the same this year, we have a site on the edge of the show, and we get an entire AEVA block to drive around. And so what we'll do is we will take people for rides in our cars, and since kids love Teslas, let's see how many Teslas we can get along there. We want a nice range of different colour Teslas.
Is there 4 colours?
So what we'll do is we'll have some cars on display and some cars for ride, and we'll put up signs saying free Tesla rides to attract people over. We'll also have our marquee there because it will rain and it will snow and it will go wind and it'll be 40 degrees.
Yes.
And last time we had a nice hailstorm actually. Well, it's sun, so the marquee is really good. So calling for people to come and help. Last year they did online ticketing. This year they're not, and so we have to get paper tickets. So I need to make sure that I get people's. Please volunteer and let me know nice and early, so that I can know how many people we get, and so that I can get tickets out to you. So come on for the show. The show is on from the 12th to the 14th, but we're only doing this on the 14th. So we'll set up our marquee before the show, and then it will be sitting there for the first 2 days of the show. We can put a display around there, but we probably won't. We didn't get around to it last year, and nobody wants to leave their car there for 3 days. So there probably won't be any cars there unless we get dealer vehicles. And we may get a few dealer vehicles. We've got the truck promised, so we'll get the GMC truck. I took people for rides in that last year. That was good fun. So please let me know if you would like to volunteer there.
Is there a budget and stuff for that?
Sorry?
Is there a budget and stuff for that?
No, we don't get charged anything.
So there's no real costs
Uh,
or revenue.
No cost, no revenue. Yeah, I did have somebody call up yesterday wanting to advertise with us with novated leasing. And so I recommended that they approach the Launceston show and ask to be put with us. So they'll pay the show that we won't get anything out of them.
How about show, same call, for volunteers? I hope you would have seen, Christopher's eloquent email explaining the different roles and opportunities to contribute. In either picking up vehicles, manning the stand, setting up the back, providing transport assistance between potentially Launceston and Hobart. All volunteers are very welcome. Sometimes great opportunities too. You know, the last couple of times we've got to pick up some nice Audis, some nice. There's potentially going to be some BMWs on offer, etc.
Gonna get the GT car this time, John.
Volunteers was able to take home the Audi Q4 for the weekend. So there is some payback for your volunteer effort on some occasions. So I think encourage you to contribute. Sorry, John.
I was going to say, you're going to get the GT this time, the RS GT.
Well, they have promised me the GT for I think the last 4 events, and I'm still relishing the opportunity to drive it. The last time the excuse was that one of their long-term customers came in 3 hours before and took advantage of their advertised opportunity for a long weekend test drive, and he couldn't deny that particular customer that opportunity. What's that car? The Audi GT.
We had that at AEVA.
Right.
That's the one that died.
That's a good promotion.
It's
We put it on display at AEVA, and of course people opened the doors and so I had a friend 12-volt battery pack. And so we spent a few hours, but we could not figure out how to jump start it.
Oh.
So there's so many panels you have to pull off and so on. And we ended up leaving it there. And as far as I know, it's still there.
I think it's recently been sold.
Yeah.
So they did have 2, and white one was running the call.
I know how to jump start it.
Was it advertised, batteries not included?
Oh, yes. Now, the Know Your EV workshop, we've just got this a couple of times. This is a workshop that ACT branch have put together and have been presenting for new EV owners. Sounds like a brilliant little thing to do. Put it on regularly. You'll get dealers along and all sorts of people to come along and learn about how to charge your car, how to use, what apps you need and all that kind of stuff. It would be great if we could do it. We could use their the stuff that they've already created for us. But we've mentioned it the last couple of meetings, and nobody's volunteered to do it. We could potentially, we might decide as a branch to pay somebody to do this. And so if you yourself would like to do this, there's that potential. Or if you know anybody else, even a different company, an education company, could take this on for us. ACT are getting members. They get a decent number of members each time they run one of these. And it makes sense, it's the sort of thing that you can say, because they charge money for it, you could say $60 entry fee or free for an AEVA member, and an AEVA membership is $50. That's the sort of thing that it's quite good for us. We get the $50 this year, we potentially get a $50 the next year and the following year as well.
I have been talking to Michael Correa, who is the Jackson Motor Company, with a view to maybe combining this with a bit of an opportunity with them. And I guess, yeah, I'd like to, part of the Norwegian model is that they've attracted dealers to pay the membership for the EV Association for the first 12 months. And in doing that, I guess the value proposition they're trying to offer dealers is we'll come along and help remove the burden of educating your consumers and your customers around this new EV purchase. But for us to do that, you'll support us with a more costly corporate membership structure. So that's one of the other things I forgot to mention in the board review is we are considering some additional tiers of membership structure. And then through that process, they would also, we might, for example, be running this Know Your EV workshop for Jackson's on a monthly basis or something for their customer base. But they would be paying us a corporate membership fee and subsidising each of the members that they're sending along to those workshops. We want to try and look at sort of building that model out and maybe combining it with a bit of a dealer education opportunity as well to educate their salespeople and just remove the burden, I suppose, and make the transition for dealers easier and more seamless. And in so doing, to try and generate an ongoing membership base for ourselves.
That's critical to grow our membership, I think.
Yeah. As we briefly discussed at the last meeting, we're at that inflection point of moving from being a hobbyist organisation, an enthusiast organisation that's supporting the interested and the engaged, if you like, to supporting the mums and dads that just want a vehicle, just want a mode of transport, but they want to be helped on that transition to doing that in an environmentally friendly and economical way. I think that's the role that AEVA can fulfil moving forward, I suppose, is to try and do that. Try and establish the membership base through our engagement, with the purchase, and then try and establish what is our value proposition, I suppose, going forward that's going to keep those members coming back every year and maintaining their membership. Regrettably, for the non-enthusiasts, it's not going to be meetings like this and discussions like this. It's going to be the membership card that lets them charge at any charger, the knowledge and confidence that AEVA as an organisation is the organisation is out there battling from them on a policy front to influence the right outcomes on things that we all get passionate about.
JMC looking at moving into any particular brand of EV, or they're potentially ICE sellers. JMC, they don't do EVs at this point. Are they moving into the EV market? Are they?
JMC holds a franchise for a number of different. So they supply the Audi vehicles to us, the JMC van, electric van, the Cooper Born.
Okay.
They do Volvo.
Obviously, Mitsubishi in the north.
In the north.
I was going to say that people, different franchises, different.
VW in the south. So a lot of new vehicles coming in through that channel.
I think might be there, Ford in the north as well.
Ford in the north.
Like things like the Mustang Mach-E.
Vehicles in Tasmania seem to be a lot like property development. There's three big owners that all have brands nationwide and all intermixed. But I think for us they're a key point of influence.
Well, so many different areas involved, brands involved. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I digress.
Next on the list is the treasure hunt, which Sean has been talking about and proposing, and there were a couple of people who had said they'd help out and now they don't really have the time to help out, and so he's decided to put it on hold for the moment. But if you would like to help out with the treasure hunt idea, I think he's mainly aiming for a big one in the lead up to the 2024 Expo. It would be nice to do a smaller one in the meantime as a practice to iron out the kinks and so on. But it possibly won't happen that, and so we might just focus on the large. If anybody does want to be involved in that, then let us know.
November 3rd to 5th, AEVA National Conference. We've probably hammered that one home a few times, I think. So everyone should go in. Yeah. And of course, yeah, next year, as we discussed earlier, we are hosting a similar event. So we're going to try and make it bigger and better. And at a national level, we are talking about the fact that rotating the conference around each year almost sets us up for failure, I suppose, in that
You'll learn it again.
you've got to learn it again. And conferences aren't, these sorts of events generally don't make a big profit in their first year. It's in year 2 and year 3. If you repeat the same sort of event in the same place every year, you start to sort of build that momentum both with the exhibitor community and with the public that you're trying to attract, and you start to make money.
We have a different audience every year.
Yeah. So we're considering how we mix that up in the future, and I think the Tasmanian branch has sort of decided that we will try and pursue making our launch, the next year's event being the launch event for what will be either an annual or a biannual event moving forward. So that we start to build on that opportunity. On that, if there's any other business, I will call the close to our meeting and invite you all to join us all for some coffee and Vicky. Celebrate.
See you later.
His contribution and the other committee members' contribution to our success over the last.
Is the provision of Coffee and Vicky's a chair's role, or is it just Penny's?
We don't know how to separate chair and penny.
I know it's been delegated to the sub chair. Thank you, Simmons. Thank you.
Have a coffee now.
Fade away.
There are 11